Yo, guys, welcome back. I hope you guys are well and warm, kicking it fly today, baby. We are going to be bringing plants back to this channel in the next couple weeks. But first, I want to discuss something that I think is on everyone's mind, and that is mistakes in the garden that everyone is making. Now, of course, I understand that there are a number of mistakes that people are making in the garden, but I want to highlight the first 10 that I think everyone should be focused on. Growing cannabis is not easy. It's not difficult either. It just takes a lot of consistency, diligence, and your time. Put in those three things and the rest is cake. But to get things started, let's start off with the most important mistake and work our way through the rest. Number one, take your time. I always believe that time in equals time off. This plant doesn't grow by itself. You need to be putting in a little bit of effort. You got to get in your garden. I like to get in there every day, put a little bit of time in, whether it's watering, whether it's cleaning up some of those dead leaves, manipulating some of those branches. It's going to pay off significantly as the grow goes on. So a little bit of time in goes a long way. So train your plants, clean your garden, and ensure that your instruments are dialed in. All right? Number two, understand your plants. Are you growing autos? Are you growing photos? Are you growing a sativa dominant? Are you growing an indica dominant? Are you growing a plant that really requires a high humidity, low heat? These are things that are really required to understand before you start growing. The majority of suppliers of genetics are going to give a little bit of a background history on that particular genetic. Do a little bit of homework. It goes a long way. Number three, don't overtrain your plants. One of the biggest mistakes I find when I go through the internet is people are overtraining their plants. They don't know a whole lot about the plant. They're trying to top, they're trying to super crop, they're trying to mainline, they're trying to clone, and it's way too much. I would suggest getting to know the plant before you start training your plants. One of the things that I did when I first started was just let it grow. Let it grow, that typical Christmas tree style, and it's going to just give you a good idea of what this plant is capable of. And then in your next grow, you're going to have an idea of whether you want to manipulate those numbers and try to increase the potential of the plant. But get to know your training techniques. Don't overtrain. Just do one at a time and then go from there. Number four, issues in your garden are inevitable. But the problem that we can avoid is over analyzing or over troubleshooting. Often, we'll get a little bit of a issue in the garden and we change 7 different things. Well, what if in those 7 different changes, one of them worked? How are you going to know which one of those 7 did the difference? But more importantly, what if one of those new techniques introduces new problems? We won't know unless we do one resolution at a time. Don't overcorrect your issues. You'll thank yourself in the long run by just changing 1 or 2 variables at a time. Cleanliness is next to godliness. I know I've done videos similar to this in regards to how to avoid harvesting mistakes, the best ways to harvest, and often I'm telling people that cleanliness is godliness. You want to make sure that you are keeping a good, clean, sanitary garden. Bugs, mold, disease are all introduced when one of those variables isn't taken care of. Whether there's too much moisture, whether there's too much just brush on the ground, whether there's too much dirt, nooks and crannies. These are things that you need to try to avoid, and the best way to do that is to get in your garden and do a little bit every day. So make sure that you're wearing a fresh pair of clean shoes. I try to do my garden work first thing in the morning. That avoids any kind of bugs or anything that being trekked outside coming inside. I also would suggest not wearing the same clothes that you wore earlier in the day. This is why I just like doing my gardening work first thing in the morning. Hop out of the shower, clothes, maybe, and then I go straight into the garden. This is going to ensure that there is no disease, there's no unwanted pests, and nothing being introduced into my garden that I'm not ready for. You have the ability to set the pace and the cleanliness for your garden. Why not start on the right foot? Next is good equipment. Throw away the CFLs, get out the T5s, stop using your desk lamps, go and grab yourself some decent lights. Companies now are coming out with the bar style lights. It's the most effective, the most efficient, giving you the widest spread. Myself, I'm using Spider Farmer. You guys already know they're a sponsor of the show. If you go to spider-farmer.com, you can check out their entire series of lights. They've got the SE series, they've got a budget-friendly G series. Start using good quality lights. Full spectrum, dimmable, you can daisy chain them. They tie into smart controllers. Take the guesswork out of it. Get good quality equipment. Great lights go a long way. If you're looking for air circulation, go to acinfinity.com. You can use promo code PIGEONS420 and you can save money on air circulation systems, smart controllers, humidifiers. These are things that are going to make your life so much easier because the equipment is doing the work for you. You're not doing it. You're not worried about it. Spend a little money, get better results. This is probably a mistake that I suffered from for the majority of my gardening career, and that is harvesting too early. I often thought when the pack said 65 days, at 65 days, she was done. That's incorrect. You want to take a good look at the trichomes. The trichomes are what is holding in all that greatness, and that's going to be a prime indicator of whether or not these plants are ready to be harvested. You want to get a majority of milky trichomes, a touch of amber, and then that'll give you a good idea that you are getting the maximum amount of THC. Now, preference is kind of up to each. It's subjective. So maybe you enjoy more of a couch lock high, maybe you enjoy more of a euphoric high. This is going to come down to the state of the trichomes at harvest time. So get to know those trichomes and try to pick a time that works for you. Now, this is one that I think we've all suffered from once or twice in time, and that is sharing your garden with too many people. Keep your mouth shut. Quit sharing with people that you have got a garden. You're gonna have unwanted guests, you're gonna have more friends than you need come harvest time, or you might just have somebody trying to just take that 5-finger discount, and you don't need any unwanted attention around your garden. Keep your mouth shut. I don't even care if you're in a legal state or a non-legal state. You don't want to share with a bunch of people that you've got something growing on in your basement or your house that might be incentivized to bring more people in, okay? So keep your mouth shut. I saved the best for last. This is something that I learned later in my gardening career, and that is to train your plants. You must train your plants, and in fact, I'll go one more, and you should be cloning your plants. Quit getting rid of great genetics. I have a problem of harvesting something, loving it, and then never getting my hands on it again. Why? Because I didn't clone it. I ended up leaving it, and it just gone to time. It's gone. I will never have it again. So clone your plants. You can even do a clone towards the end of flower. You can do clones in late of veg. In fact, if you flower something, harvest it, and think you enjoyed it, consider re-vegging that plant. It's not an easy process, it's a time-consuming process, but it's almost like a last-ditch effort, should you have forgotten, to clone your plants. Why not maximize this plant? You can harvest an ounce or you can harvest a pound. That comes down to your training techniques. So train your plants. Get familiar with the training techniques and utilize the ones that you think are going to work best for you. Then clone your plants. Don't be like me and just lose out on such great genetics over the course of time because I never cloned them. I never got to maintain the strain. And that was a big, big mistake. Now, of course, I might have missed something, but I want to hear from you. Are there any mistakes that you made when you were learning how to grow? Let me know in the comment section below. Or if there is something that's just pertinent to growing that you think everyone needs to hear, share it in the comment section below. I love listening to you guys. Thank you so much for an incredible time. Look forward to some plants on the channel because we've got something very, very exciting coming around the bend. Peace.